Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Heidi Bretz from the OpenStack Foundation, and I run business development for the foundation, which means I'm charged with building out a healthy, vibrant ecosystem around OpenStack and supporting that ecosystem. And I learned something new this morning. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank Gigaspaces for organizing all this. And we're really excited to be here. We had some of the folks from OpenStack here in, I think it was May, to kind of check out what was going on here and learn a little bit more about the Israeli community. And I can see that it's grown even from that time. So thanks again. Thank you. Okay. So you're going to hear a lot today about the technology, and there will be people diving deep into the technology. So what I thought I would do is really cover kind of what's going on in the community, what's going on with the OpenStack Foundation, what's new, who are some of our customers that we're hearing about and learning about, and what our initiatives are for 2014, so what you can hope to see coming in the next year. So when we talk about community, we use that word really broadly, and it doesn't just mean the developer community, it really means this entire ecosystem of folks that are involved in driving innovation around OpenStack. So it's not only the technology platform, which is what a lot of people think about, and the open source components to building a cloud, but it's really the companies that are providing tools and services to help really take that platform and add value to it. And so those are companies like Gigaspaces, like HP, IBM, Red Hat, who's here. Other open source projects are also involved in this part of the ecosystem. And then we have the users who are taking that added value and driving it into their businesses in ways that make sense to them, and then adding that and contributing that code back into OpenStack. So it's all of this that works together that is really OpenStack and the community. So here's some of the statistics. I've heard there's a lot of misinformation out there, numbers being, reported too small or too big. But here are our latest numbers from OpenStack. We've got we just released the Havana release about a month ago, our 8th release. There were 910 contributors to Havana, 400 new features, and that's up 70% from Grizzly. We had 910 contributors, and we are averaging about 1,600 unique contributors right now, and they're contributing on average about 400 contributions monthly. There are 20,000 plus commits that were included in Havana, and you can see here the countries that were really active in contributing to Havana and to OpenStack overall. There are 269 companies in that kind of left corner of the ecosystem. So if you're thinking about building an OpenStack cloud, you'll have a lot of help. There are a lot of companies that you can look to help you do that. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So we're in over 1,000 cities worldwide. Here, as you can see where we are. We're lacking a little bit in Siberia, but we're working on that. We have developers in over 400 cities. And we've got user groups all over the world. We got 60 user groups in 40 nations. And we celebrated our 3rd anniversary as OpenStack earlier this year. And what we did was we sent out to the various user groups T-shirts and a little bit of money to throw a birthday party for OpenStack. And we got back photos from all over the world, from remote places, from big cities. And I just kind of enjoy this photo because here's a really excited team in Jakarta celebrating OpenStack. They sent us an entire album of photos. They were very excited about it, celebrating our 3rd anniversary. So it just speaks to how global OpenStack is and how OpenStack is creating jobs all over the world. We have known deployments in over 200 cities, which is huge. We're growing faster than expected, and I'll talk about some of those deployments in a minute. This is a slide that you've probably seen before. I just wanted to show you that we're still continuing to capture the mind of the developer and the efforts of the developer. So here's our cumulative, our unique contributors per month and cumulative contributions to OpenStack. And we've gone from 2 projects to 9 projects in the Havana release, and we've got 4 more in incubation coming for Icehouse. So, if we've gone from 10,000 lines of code to over 2 million in 3 years. And what's really cool is when we launch a product, and we launched with 2 products 3 years ago, and we've got 9 now, like I said, and we launch every 6 months. We release a new version of OpenStack across all of the projects, fully tested, enterprise ready, fully integrated, no matter how many projects we have. And so I think that's pretty incredible. We've never slipped on a release, and we anticipate that to continue in the future. So just talking about jobs, this is a report from Indeed.com, which is a job search site. They average, usually on the site, about 900 OpenStack jobs a month, and that's 2x. They report that that's 2 times as many as last year. Simply Hired reports actually an 87% increase over last year in terms of OpenStack job postings. So you can see the growth there, and again, we're creating jobs all over the world in markets where there aren't many jobs. So we're happy about that. These are some of the companies that are really instrumental in supporting OpenStack. We have many. Like I said, we have 269 companies, but these are the companies that were some of the founding companies in OpenStack and also give guidance and governance to OpenStack. There are many board members of the foundation that sit within these companies, but you'll see the leaders, the innovators in open source. You'll see leaders in networking and telecom. So these are our platinum and our gold members that we work really closely with. We added 3 new gold members to the OpenStack Foundation. This is a position that requires a board vote. And so these companies had to show their really commitment to OpenStack in terms of contributions to the code, contributions to the community. So we added Aptera, which is a services and solutions company, so they do consulting. And they've been really instrumental in driving community and engaging community in Australia and India. And then we also added Hitachi and Hitachi Data Systems, and they've contributed drivers to their Hitachi storage. Their JP1 storage is compatible with OpenStack, and they've also contributed a driver to block storage. And they're also driving community in a big way in Japan. And then Huawei, which is already one of our top 20 contributors, and they've also contributed drivers to their Huawei storage, and were really instrumental in helping us pull off a very successful summit in Hong Kong last month. So when you look at the companies that are using OpenStack, it's not just companies, it's educational organizations, governments, companies. The list is really long, but I thought I'd just put some names up there for you to just kind of take a quick look at. We've got 90 companies profiled and governments profiled on our website. So if you want to get more detail on any of these implementations and how these organizations are using OpenStack, just go to the website under user stories and you'll find more detail. So this is Shutterstock. It's cut off at the top. But these are some of the companies who spoke at our recent event in Hong Kong. So if you weren't able to make it, I'll just do a quick summary of what they said and why they use OpenStack. So Shutterstock's a company that creates a marketplace for professional photographers to sell their photography to folks who need it, marketing people, and whatever. And they really built out Shutterstock before AWS, so it wasn't even an option for them. So they're very much into supporting a strong developer environment and building something that's homegrown rather than buying it off the shelf. So OpenStack was a great solution for them because their developers could really engage and get into the code and build really highly specialized solutions, particularly for Shutterstock. They also had they were dealing with some low latency, and they wanted to improve upon that, and using OpenStack allowed them to improve upon that. And they are also a company that's going to be contributing a lot back to OpenStack in terms of what they're developing for their particular industry. Concur was another company that presented. They are a company, and you may know them. They manage things that we hate managing. So travel, any kind of travel arrangements, and expense reports. And so they've got customers all over the world. They have to keep their records for 7 to 10 years because of various international tax laws. They deal in tens of millions of documents every single day or every month. So they had a problem. They had issues. They wanted to redo their storage, and they wanted to switch to an object store. They were using a Microsoft file share, and they wanted to switch to object storage, and use Swift to do that. They wanted to run on the hardware that they already had. They wanted access to the APIs. They wanted to give their developers the APIs and just get out of their way, and let them run with that. And so they were able to use their own hardware, save money, and they are also a company that really likes this ability to, it really enjoys that OpenStack provides visibility into the code. So when they have a problem, they can go in, they can fix it. They don't have to call a helpline, and that was one of the things that their CTO brought up. They don't have to call a helpline. They don't have to rely on somebody else for help or a roadmap. They know what's coming. They can build to the roadmap because it's all open and visible. PayPal, you've probably heard about our PayPal, but PayPal continues to grow, and the reason I bring it up, in their use of OpenStack, and they're expected to have about a third of their business processes running on OpenStack in the coming year. And so it originally started as just they started using OpenStack for their developers to let them to really speed up their ability to develop new apps that run on OpenStack. So they've got their payment engine at their core, which is probably what you know, but they develop hundreds of apps on top of that for specific regions, specific industries. And it was taking their developers a couple of months to build these, test them, and get them into deployment, and actually being used by their 137 million customers. So with OpenStack, they were able to speed that up and shorten that cycle from 2 months to about 2 days, 2 to 3 days. So other users that we've heard from at our conferences, Bloomberg's using almost every part of OpenStack. Comcast is using OpenStack. They're a big cable provider in the United States to power their instant video capabilities, and Best Buy. So what we're hearing from companies is just that speed of deployment, flexible with the plug-in infrastructure. Companies can use hardware that they already have and technology that they already have. And then the community, people, Samir from PayPal said that the reason he really is committed to driving more business through OpenStack and transitioning more of his business to OpenStack is because he gets the kind of the cumulative brain power of a global community, which extends much further than his own development team. So our mission, just to remind you of what the OpenStack mission is, it's really to protect, empower, and promote OpenStack. So protect meaning making sure the code is quality code, making sure that OpenStack stays open. We're very committed to that. Empowering is just empowering users to use it, and I'll talk a little bit about more our efforts in that area. And then promoting OpenStack software around the world, so making sure that people know about it and driving engagement and development, because that, as we get more developers and users and they contribute back to the code, we grow faster and innovate faster. And we've got a couple competitors out there, so we're trying to catch up or stay ahead of those competitors. So here's our focus for 2014. Interoperability is a big focus, and these are the things that you'll see coming, and you'll see blog posts and announcements about this in the coming year. But we want to really develop kind of figure out what is the baseline for OpenStack, what does that look like, what is the baseline functionality, and really test what is kind of baseline testing. So for something to be called OpenStack and considered OpenStack, what are kind of the minimum requirements for that, and what's really core OpenStack and what is not core OpenStack. It's a very very heated discussion, and it's one that we're kind of narrowing in on what is core OpenStack now. Education, I'll talk a little bit about that, but we really want to, because there's that huge job growth, we need to develop and train more OpenStack experts out there, because there's a real shortage. OpenStack developers earn on average 36% more than any other cloud developer because there's such a gap between supply and demand. So we want to close that gap. Not that we want OpenStack developers to earn less, but we just want those building OpenStack clouds to have the dev resources that they need. And I'll talk about a little bit about the training program as well in my next slide. But we want to collect more community data, more data from customers. We want to really, now that we have the numbers that we have, we really want to really organize that data and make it useful to everybody out there. And I'll share a little bit more of our user survey with you, but we want to do more of that. And just empowering users, create a clearer path to adoption, so make it easier to use OpenStack in every way, and that's really multidimensional. So we launched a training marketplace this year. I don't know if you're aware of that. We've got a bunch of companies all over the world that are offering training on OpenStack, hands-on training, online training. We're looking for more companies to offer training. So if you are a company that's interested in doing that, please reach out to me. I'm Heidi at openstack.org. But we're very, very interested in just creating those, or developing those experts and training those experts globally. And we're looking for trainers in Israel. Some of you may be familiar with our user guide. A group of cloud operators gathered together in Austin last year and in 5 days put together the OpenStack user guide. And it was downloaded about 1,000 times the first day. And it's been pretty well used and the feedback's been great. So this year, in 2014, the update will be published by O'Reilly, so a real publisher. We're getting into the big time. We'll be publishing the next version of that, and you'll be able to buy it online. So we'd asked them to do it for the first version, and they didn't think that it was something that they wanted to do. And then when they saw just the activity around it, the first user guide, they came to us and said they wanted to publish the second. We launched this year in September something called the Ambassador Program. So what we realized is in the community, we had a lot of community activity. There was a lot of information out there. There was a lot of feedback that the OpenStack Foundation would find valuable, as would other communities around the world. And we wanted to figure out how to organize that in a way that was most effective. So among the different user groups, we are asking for applications for an ambassador. So they're usually someone who's already very active in the community and well-known, who steps up and applies for that. And so since we just launched, we've got 9 or 10, you can see them in these different countries, ambassadors around the world, but we don't have one in Israel, so you can see a big space there. And so we're looking for someone who, Nati, who wants to be an ambassador in Europe. And so what you really do is gather insights, feed that back into the OpenStack Foundation and to the other communities. We want to increase localization. So we need documentation in different languages. We need localization of all of OpenStack and what we're doing. So that would be something else the ambassador would be responsible for. And then really just driving engagement, taking leadership really and growing the user groups and bringing new people in. We did our second OpenStack user survey. Nati showed you one of the slides. I think that was from our last one. So this is our new survey. We had 805 respondents and 400 deployments cataloged. So I think, Nati, your slide said a couple of hundred. We've increased by quite a bit. So here's where our deployments are around the world. You can see that if you look at the industry, and I think Nati showed you this, it hasn't really changed. It's information technology, research, telecommunications, so that's no surprise. What we found a little bit surprising was cost savings was the primary driver, because that's not what we hear usually when we talk to companies. Usually we hear that operational efficiency, the open platform, the community, we hear that over and over. So it was surprising to us that this came in as a #1 business driver, but good information to have. These are the different various workloads. This is a question I'm asked a lot about hypervisors, who's using which hypervisors. So you can see, the majority are still using KVM, but we've got some of the other hypervisors showing up as well. And then here's some of the networking solutions that people are using, storage, and then the top 5 deployment tools. So these are all available if you go online and do a search on OpenStack survey. You'll find all of this. The link is too long to put on here. It's just easier to do a search. But if you do that, you'll find these slides if you want to repurpose them or just use this information. So what I really would like is to just get you more involved in every way that we can. You're clearly interested. We'd like you to tell your friends, bring more people into the community. But we still need people for the user survey. It's not closed, so those results are constantly changing. They're very dynamic. So if you are a user of OpenStack, we'd love to hear about what you're doing. We'd love to add you to just our intelligence. And so please go to user survey. If you're not a member of the OpenStack Foundation, I'm assuming you are, but if you're not, please join. If you're interested in being part of that ecosystem that I talked about, of people who are providing services and tools on OpenStack, that's also the link that you would use. We'd love to work with you on that, getting more involved. If you want to figure out how to get started on OpenStack, you can either talk to one of the many service providers that you'll hear from later, or you can go and find out more just on the Getting Started wiki. So really what my main message is, we're thrilled to have you involved. We want to grow the footprint here in Israel. And in any way that you want to get involved, we'd be happy to have you. Documentation. We'd love to have documentation that's localized. So that would be a great add. Or if you have, we're also looking for those case studies, as Nati said earlier. So if you're a company that's using OpenStack, we'd like to hear about what you're doing. We can talk about it. We can help you put together a case study that we promote on the website. We travel all over the world and speak at various conferences, and we'd like to talk about you and what you're doing. So please reach out to us if that's something that you're interested in doing. So with that, I'm over time, and I say thank you.